Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Krishno Rakshatano Jagatraya Guruhu Krishnam Namasyamyaham Krishnena Marasetravo Vinihataha Krishnaya Tasmai Namaha Krishna Deva Samuthitam Jagadidam Krishnasya Dasosmyaham Krishne Tisthati Sarvametadakhilam He Krishna Samrakshamam. Jai Srimanarayana. With Sri Swamiji's blessings, we are learning Bhagavad Gita. So we are starting chapter 14 today, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Okay, so let's start. Atha Chaturdasodhyayah
अथ चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः
Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga.
गुणत्रयविभागयोगः
Sri Bhagavanuvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami
परं
परं
भूयः
भूयः
प्रवक्ष्यामि
Jnananam Jnanamuttamam
ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम्
ज्ञानमुत्तमम्
Yajñātva Munayas Sarve
यज्ञात्वा
यज्ञात्वा
मुनयः
मुनयः
सर्वे
सर्वे
Param Siddhimito Gataha.
परां
परां
सिद्धिमितो
सिद्धिं
गताः
गताः।
Let's chant together. Param
परं
Bhuyah
भूय
Pravakshyami
ज्ञानानां
ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम्
ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा
यज्ञात्वा मुनयः
मुनयः
सर्वे
सर्वे परां सिद्धिं
परां
Param
गताः।
Siddhimito
सिद्धिमिते गताः
Gataha. So in the last chapter, Lord Krishna said that we need to know the difference between Kshetra and Kshetrajna and how to realize the self. Okay. And about the qualities, right? The qualities of Prakriti. So in this chapter, so now he's starting again. Param bhuya pravakshyami jnananam jnanamuttamam. So pravakshyami. So I'm going to explain. I'm going to tell again what. Sorry, bhuya is again. So I'm going to tell again or explain again. What is he going to explain about jnanam? So jnanam is here the knowledge, gnanam, knowledge of the prakriti, basically sattva, rajas, and tamas. So now, I mean, what is the reason why we are not able to realize the self? I mean, what if you look at, if you go back and think, right? What is the root cause that we are not able to realize the self? Can anyone explain? Like, what was the reason? What was the root cause? So self-realization is the goal. And what is the impediment to that goal? Why we are not able to achieve self-realization or even God realization, right? So what
mind
was
is the impediment.
mind? So what does
Ignorance.
mind impediment means? Like cannot take away mind, right? Without mind, we
Correct,
cannot
correct.
function.
Yes. So our
But
mind is not. It has so much karmic bondage, vasanas, and samskaras.
uh,
It's not allowing us to experience the nature of true nature of the soul.
right. So then why is it having those vasanas, karmic bondage? So this is
Because
like
of
root cause analysis, root cause analysis technique in our professional world, right? You always have to ask why. So in order to go to the root cause.
so because of gunas,
Exactly.
imbalance in gunas.
So because of the imbalance in the gunas, actually, I mean, imbalanced guna means those gunas are associated with prakriti. So we have ourself is the Suddha Sattvam. Like it is the pure Sattva, not mixed with other gunas. Imbalanced gunas, that if somebody is saying like that, I mean, so then that means that the gunas that are belonging to Prakriti, because they're a mixer. You don't have them as a pure. Okay, you have a mixed gunas, and that is gunas of Prakriti. Okay, guna of Sattva, guna of Kshetrajna or self or Purusha or Jivatma, and all these are synonyms, is pure, right? I mean, it's not mixed. So, but the gunas of Prakriti are mixed. So, the root cause for us to take birth again and again, Lord Krishna explained, was Gunasanga, right? Attachment to the gunas of Prakriti. Okay. Why are we getting karmic bondage? Is because of the actions. Who is responsible for the actions? What Lord Krishna said. Who is the doer or agent of the actions? Is it Atma or the um, Prakriti or body?
Prakriti.
Prakriti, right? Body. So, and why is the body function? Is the agent? I mean, why is it acting in a particular way? Because it is influenced by the gunas of the Prakriti. Our body is nothing but it is Prakriti, which has the qualities of Prakriti. So, based on those qualities, it is acting in that way. If we have Rajasic quality, I show anger. If I have Sattvic quality, I show balance. I show knowledge. Um, and if I have Tamasic quality, I'm showing ignorance, laziness, right? So because of the qualities, we are influenced. I mean, the body is getting influenced and doing the actions that is uh, causing karmic bondage for us. And because of the attachment to those gunas of Prakriti, we are taking birth again and again in different, higher or lower births, depending on the quality that we are attached to. So the root cause of us not getting getting self-realization means, basically getting the liberation, right? I mean, once we are self-realized, then we are getting liberated. Both are equivalent. Okay. So we don't take birth again, in this samsara, in this materialistic world. So if you look back, the villain, the villain is these three qualities: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Okay, all three are equally. I mean, one is more bad compared to other because it will totally bring us down. One is a little bit bad. One is not that bad. Okay, we are, still keeps us in the right direction only, but it is still not going to give us the goal what we want. All three gunas. Whatever I said just now was tamas, rajas, and sattva. Tamas is totally taking us down. Rajas will keep us going in the same, at the same level, approximately. Again, these things we will learn in more detail. But sattva will take us upwards, but still keeps us within this samsara only. So all these three gunas is, basically they are the root causes for us to be in this cycle of births and deaths. So having that knowledge is going to, I mean, unless we have knowledge about it, we cannot take actions, right? I mean, how can we, if I don't understand why I'm becoming angry, I will not be able to control myself, right? If I don't understand why the sickness is coming, I cannot give medicine for it. So having the knowledge about these gunas, which are causing us to take birth again and again, is going to ultimately lead us to liberation, because we will be able to use that knowledge, understand, why we are here, and how we can, how we can uh, behave, or how we can, be in this world, so that we are not attached to those gunas, and finally we will achieve perfection. That, so what Lord Krishna is saying, jnananam jnanamuttamam. Okay, so of all the knowledge, so jnananam, so we talked about, so when you say knowledge, it's not science, social studies, math and English and all that, right? Or generally knowing about how to live in this world, not that. I mean, there are only three, mainly the three realities: um, Chit, Achit, and Ishvara. Okay, Chit is Atma or Jiva. Achit is the Prakriti, inanimate, okay, or matter or nature. And the third is Paramatma or Ishvara. Okay, so in the 13th chapter, so we are continuing in 14th chapter, so it is after the 13th chapter. In 13th chapter, we talked about two realities. That is Kshetra, that is body, or body made of Prakriti. So effectively Prakriti, we talked about Prakriti. And then we talked about Kshetrajna, who is Kshetrajna, and how to achieve self-realization, all that. So that is, so there are two that we learned in the 13th chapter. Of those two, okay, the knowledge of those two, Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha is again Jiva or Atma or Jivatma. So of those two, Param. So whatever we are, Lord Krishna, whatever he's saying is different or beyond that. I mean, it is okay. He explained about Prakriti and Purusha in 13th chapter. Okay. So now he is going to give that Uttamam knowledge, the best of those two, and that is Param. That is different from what was previously explained. Okay. So I mean, I already told you about knowledge that is about Rajas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, but that is given by our acharyas. The direct meaning is just the knowledge that is different and best of the knowledge that we learned so far. Okay, so what is different is that in previous chapter he only just mentioned about quality, but now he's going to talk more about it. So he's going to talk about again those qualities, the knowledge that is best among these two. I mean, these qualities are related to Prakriti only. So it is not like separate from the Purusha and Prakriti. It is part of Prakriti only, but it is beyond what I have told you earlier. So, and that is the best knowledge among these two. So you learned about Purusha, you learned about Prakriti. Now, if you want to learn what is the best among the knowledge, let us say if there are 10 chapters in these two, okay, there is one chapter that is really, really important and that has not been told earlier. So I am going to tell you about that, which is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay. So Gnatva, so after knowing that, Okay. Munaya sarve param siddhim itah gataha. So they all these sages are attaining perfection. Gataha siddhim param itaha. So they are getting perfection. Perfection is a success. In these sages, what are they interested in? Typically, we are calling them as sages when they are interested in acquiring the knowledge of the self or getting self-realization. They are doing those who are performing meditation in order to acquire self-realization. Okay, so those are the sages. They are getting perfection, that is self-realization, which is param itaha, which is supreme compared to this. Itaha is compared to this or from this. This is the materialistic world, obviously. So this siddhi is the perfection, that is self-realization, is supreme compared to materialistic world. And in order to get that siddhi, or perfection, we need to know about the qualities of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Is it okay?
Varaprasad gar.
Yeah.
The title says Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Does it mean they are about to talk about these three gunas like Sattva,
Yeah.
Rajas, Tamo gunas?
Yes.
Oh.
This entire chapter is talking only about Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, mostly. I mean, so the and I don't know. I mean, I haven't done philosophy and all those things but we will be able to understand everything about everyone's feelings, our feelings, everyone's reactions, our reactions, if we understand these three qualities. It is like universal knowledge that will help us in understanding our I would say, I mean, emotional feelings, reactions, all that. Apart from, of course, knowing this is going to give us a self-realization, finally lead us to self-realization, because we'll be able to understand ourselves better, understand others better, and we'll be able to perform our duties as expected. We'll be able to travel in whatever path that we chose, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. So this is the most basic that again we can apply everywhere in our life, like whether we are religious, non-religious, we believe in one one type of god. And I'm talking, of course, there's only one god, but no matter what our religious beliefs are, knowing about these three qualities, these three classifications, right? That is Gunatraya Vibhaga. This classification of the gunas into these three, and um, of course, not everybody is just one of those gunas. So we are all a mixture of those gunas. So, but at any moment, one of the gunas will be prominent. So we'll be able to understand ourselves or understand others who are showing those qualities or effects of those qualities. And our reaction will be better compared to not knowing those qualities.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we in chapter 13 we learned that everything that is manifested is due to the association of kshetra and kshetrajna, and we learned what is the true nature of our body and the true nature of the self, right? And what are the qualities that we need to cultivate in our body in order to realize the self. I mean, this is why the cultivate is a key word. So that's why Lord Krishna used the word Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Okay. Kshetrajna is the one who is making use of the Kshetra or cultivating something in that Kshetra. And Lord Krishna told what needs to be cultivated in that Kshetra in order to achieve our goal, right? Which is to realize the self. And those are the qualities, amanitvam, adhambitvam, those 20 qualities. And and we also learned what is the cause for us to be associated with the body. Why are we taking birth again and again? Okay, and different types of births. What is the cause for us to take different kinds of births, like a higher birth, a lower birth, Deva, Manusha, Tiryaka, Stavara. Even in each of those category, classifications. Again, there will be higher and lower. So all that is because of the attachment to the qualities of Prakriti. And so knowing all this and by practicing amanitvam adambitvam, those things we will be able to get, be liberated from the cycle of births and deaths. And of the knowledge, or among the knowledge of Prakriti and Purusha, the knowledge of qualities of Prakriti is very important. That's the best of the knowledge. And which has not been mentioned earlier. So that's what I'm going to explain now, he said. And knowing this, one will be able to attain self-realization, which is supreme compared to the current world that we are in, the materialistic world. Okay. Okay. So let's look at 2. Idam jnanamupasritya
Idam jnana
Idam gnanamupasritya
mama sadharmyamagataha
mama
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 sadharmamagataha
sadharmyamagataha
sarge api nopajayante
sarge api
Jayante
najayante
pralaye na vyadhanti cha.
pralayena vyadanti cha
Let's chant together. Idam
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 jnanamupasritya
jnanamupasritya
mama
mama
sadharmyamagataha
sadharmyamagataha
sarge
Sarge
api
api
nopajayante
nopajayante
pralaye na
pralayena
vyadhanti
vyadanti
cha.
cha.
So what happens if we know that knowledge, right? Oh, sorry. What happens if we know? So we will attain perfection, self-realization, he said, right? That is supreme compared to this materialistic world. So here he's saying, what is that state? Okay, it is supreme compared to the current state that we are in, which is part of this materialistic world, taking births again and again. So he said, yeah, that state is supreme, the state of self-realization or achieving perfection by knowing the knowledge of sattva, rajas, and tamas. So he's explaining more about that state. Okay, so idam jnanam upasritya. Okay, after resorting to this knowledge, the knowledge of sattva, rajas, and tamas, or knowledge of the prakriti gunas, after resorting to means by doing everything, knowing about them, So whatever I do now, I'm going to be driven by the knowledge that we acquire. Like I'm within the context. I'm working within the context, right? I resorted to somebody means I basically, I'm working as per the guidance given by them, right? So based on the guidance that I'm getting, okay, um, from that knowledge of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, um, what happens? Mama sadharmyam agataha. Okay, so what happens is the they have, those who have resorted to that knowledge, they have attained mama sadharmyam, my equivalent state. So this is mama sadharmyam agataha is a very key word. I mean, this is the important sentence that will say that all the people, all the jivatmas, who are in different bodies now, once they get liberated, they don't become Paramatma. They get to a state which is called Mama Sadharmya Magata. So which is a state equivalent to Paramatma, not they don't become Paramatma. So after resorting to this knowledge of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and practicing them, after getting that knowledge and practicing them, those who have attained my equivalent state, okay, sarge api na upajayante pralayena vyadhanti cha. So they are not going to be born at the time of creation, at the time of evolution, right? So they are not going to be taking body again, and they're also not going to suffer at the time of dissolution. Okay. So that means we'll be liberated from this cycle of births and deaths. We will be liberated from this materialistic world completely. So we'll not be taking births again and again. So the two important things based on this, once we resort to this knowledge, once we get this knowledge and practice or make our actions driven by the knowledge that we acquired, then we are going to be liberated. We are not going to take birth again and again in this materialistic world. And also we will achieve a state that is equivalent to Paramatma. Okay. So, I mean, this is based on Sri Swamiji's, discourses. So what are the qualities? I mean, so we are saying that my equivalent state, Lord Krishna used the word Mama Sadharmyam, right? So what is that equivalent state of Paramatma? Our acharyas and rishis and our scriptures say there are 8 qualities of Paramatma. Okay, so that is apahata papma, vijaraha, vimrutyuhu, visokaha, jighatsaha, apipasaha, satya kamaha, satya sankalpa. These are the 8 qualities of Lord that once we get liberated, we also will get these qualities. They start shining. I mean, we start showing these qualities with no obstruction. Today also we have this, but they are not coming out. They are obstructed. Okay, but when we get liberated, we will be able to have these qualities in like a unobstructed way, just like how Paramatma has it today. Paramatma or God is able to show these qualities without any obstruction or getting hampered, right? freely able to show. So what are those? Not being touched by sins, not getting old, not having death, not having sorrows, not having hunger, not having thirst. Okay, and finally, so these are all the 6 qualities where we are saying not, right? I mean, these are he's not going to have. And what are the 2 qualities that he is going to have is Satya Kamaha and Satya Sankalpa. Satya Kamaha means they are able to take any form they wish. Whatever form they wish, they are able to take it. Okay. So, and also, I mean, not just one form at a time. You can take multiple forms at the same time. So that is how they will be able to serve Paramatma when they go to Paramapada. So we will be able to just multiply ourselves whatever way we wish without any obstruction. We don't have to, I mean, say, oh, I'm so sorry, I cannot do. There's no such thing like that. Okay, so we'll be able to take any form, any number of forms that we wish. And our focus will always be on serving Paramatma at that moment. So whatever is needed to serve Paramatma, those bodies, whatever we wish, we will take. And then Satya Sankalpaha is, think of something. If I think of something to do, then I'll be able to do it, no matter how difficult that is. Okay, so today we are, we are not able to achieve that. Like if I want to become the president of US, I'm not able to become that because of many reasons, due to me, due to somebody else, due to some the qualities that I have or don't have. All that I'm restricted from being able to accomplish what I wish. Okay, we are having limited resources, limited knowledge. Um, so we are not able to do that. But once we are in the state of liberation, we will be able to achieve whatever we wish. Okay, so these are the 8 qualities that we will also get without any obstruction. Okay, so that is the state that we are going to get. We don't become Paramatma and start creating worlds. Okay, Jagat Karanatvam is that is basically the Paramatma or God is the only one who is the creator. Okay, under his command we may be able to do it. I mean, as a service to Paramatma, if we are given that task, we may be able to do it. That's a different thing. But we will not ourselves independently start creating worlds. Okay, so that's the main difference. So once we get liberated, we will achieve a state that has the same knowledge or qualities as Paramatma, but we will not be able to do the creation. Will create, support, and dissolution are the only done by Paramatma, like independently. Everyone else is dependent on him. Okay, so that's why we do not become Paramatma. We are always going to be there even after liberation. We will get these qualities of Paramatma and we will be experiencing the permanent unlimited bliss. Okay, so that's Sloka 2. Any questions on this? No?
Yeah, can you please repeat the 8 qualities only one more time?
Okay. Apahata Papma. No, we are not touched by any sins. Sorry. Vijaraha. not getting old, right? Vimrutyuhu, not having death. Visokaha, not having sorrows. Vijighatsaha, not having hunger. Apipasaha is not having thirst. Satyakamaha, taking whatever form that is wished. Satya Sankalpaha, accomplishing anything that is wished. Okay, so these are the 8 qualities that we will have equivalent to Paramatma or God.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let us see what Lord Krishna says next. It's interesting. Sloka 3. Mama yonir Brahma
Mama yonir
Mama
mahad
yonir
brahma
Brahma
tasmin garbham dadhamyaham
Tasmin
asmin
Garbham
graham
Dadamyaham
dadamyaham
Sambhavat sarvabhutanam
sambhavat
Sambhavat
sarvabhutanam
Sarvabhutanam
tato bhavati bharata.
tato
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 bhavati
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 bharata
bharata
Mama yonir
Mama
Mama
yoni
yonir
mahad
mahad
brahma
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 Tasmin
Tasmin
garbham
garbham
dadamyaham
Dadamyaham
Sambhava sarvabhutanam
Sarvabhutanam
Tato bhavati
Bhavati
bharata.
Bharata.
So in the previous chapter, he said everything that is manifested is an association or a combination of 2 things, Kshetra and Kshetrajna. He said, right? So everything that is manifested has, so Kshetra is body that is made of Prakriti, and Kshetrajna is the Jiva. Okay? So who is creating that and how it is being created? So that is what Lord Krishna is saying here. Okay? So, Bharata, oh, Arjuna, Mama Yonihi Mahat. So Mahat Brahma, this is very important. So Mahat Brahma here does not mean the four-headed Brahma. Okay. So this is Mahat Brahma is the Prakriti.
ప్రసాద్ గారు కొంచెం డిస్టర్బెన్స్ వస్తుందండి ఏంటోను మరి నాకైనా అందరికీ వస్తుంది సమ్ సార్ట్ ఆఫ్ డిస్టర్బెన్స్ ఇస్ కమింగ్
అందరికి వస్తుందండి అది
Okay, I think it is because of my line అనుకుంటాండి. నేను మ్యూట్ చేస్తాను. I'll mute myself. When I mute, it is going, right?
అవునండి కరెక్ట్ అండి
Yeah,
సో
one second.
లుక్స్ లైక్ మైక్రోఫోన్ అదే సంథింగ్ కొంచెం అడ్జస్ట్ చేయాలి
Yeah, one second.
షూర్ అండి సారీ
Jasmine Andy, can you hear me?
Yes, Andy. This is much better.
Jasmine Andy, can you hear me?
Jai Srimanarayan.
Yes, we can hear you. Now there is no sound.
Think let's put a message.
Jasmine Andy, can you hear me, Andy?
Sorry for the disturbance. Hope it is better now. Can you hear me?
Yes, Andy. We are
Okay,
able to hear.
okay, great. Yeah, so so Lord Krishna here explaining who is actually creating, right? So Mama Yonihi Mahat Brahma. Brahma here, Mahat Brahma, great Brahma is saying it is the Prakriti. It is the um, up- so it is the just a matter, right? Not the Prakriti combined with the Jiva, right? It is just the Prakriti that we are talking about. So that Prakriti is Mama Yoni. Mama is mine. Okay. So we learned in chapter 7, sloka 4 and 5. I hope I can open chapter 7, 4 and 5. Okay. So again, everything in the um, last Shatkam is kind of revision, detailed revision of what he mentioned in the previous chapters, from 1 to 12, right? So what did he say in chapter 7, sloka 4? Okay. He said, my material nature, Moola Prakriti, is divided eightfold: earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and identity. Identity, not identify. Okay. So he said this is the Moola Prakriti. This is the matter, the the material nature is mine, he said. Okay. So that is sloka 4. And so all the matter in this universe, it belongs to God. Okay. And there are 8 divisions, he said. Okay. So then in sloka 5, he said, sloka 5, he said, but O Arjuna, this material nature is inferior. Know that my other nature, comprising of Atmas, is superior compared to this material nature. This entire universe is supported by this superior nature. So basically, you have the matter, and then you have the jivas. So matter is his, and jivas are also his. We are not independent. We are all his property, basically. So then he takes out at the beginning of the creation, he takes out the matter, okay, and he places these jivas into that matter in order to manifest. Now earlier both are in unmanifested state, but after combining these two, then the body start manifesting. Like they take different bodies. So we know from previous chapter that there are two prakritis, para prakriti, apara prakriti. Okay, and the prakriti which is just the material nature. So in chapter 14, sloka 3, is saying that as the just the material nature is Mahat Brahma. Okay, so he's saying Mahat Brahma, Mama Yonihi. My Yoni is literally translating as womb. Okay, imagine like a baby being born in a womb, right? Makes use of the environment that a womb creates for the baby to grow, isn't it? The baby is not growing from anything else. It is the womb that is supporting the baby's growth, right? It is providing all the everything that the growth for the baby needs, isn't it? So this entire the material nature is like a womb, okay, which is the cause of this entire universe. Like a womb is the cause for the birth of the baby, how the baby is formed. Similarly, this entire universe, okay, is born within the imagining it as a womb for Brahma. Okay, so that this material nature is the womb. Tasmin garbham dadami aham. So in that I am placing a seed. Garbham dadami. I am placing or I'm casting the seed into it, just like um, you know, lady, the womb is uh, getting pregnant with a seed, right? Seed. Similarly, Lord Krishna is saying that the this entire universe is the womb, and in that I am placing the seed. So the key word here is I. I am the one who is creating. By placing a seed, what is that seed? Collection of all the jivatmas. Okay. So tataha bhavati sambhavaha sarvabhutanam. So from that, so what happens once a seed is placed in the womb? Now they are getting associated with each other. That then sambhavaha sarvabhutanam. Then the birth or evolution of all the beings start happening. Okay, so I am the creator, he's saying very clearly. So all this prakriti is mine, and I am the one placing all these jivatmas into that prakriti. And from that, because of that, all the bodies are forming. Okay. Any questions?
No, Andy. Now we are able to establish the correction. This is very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's great, Andy. Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, this is very logical. Lord Krishna is very logically presenting, how this everything is coming into place. It's like a story. Okay. Sloka 4. Sarvayonishu kaunteya
Sarvayonishu kaunteya
murtaya sambhavanti yaha
murtaya sambhavantiyaha
tasam brahma mahadyonihi
tasam brahma mahadyonihi
aham bija pradah pita.
aham
Aham
bija pradah
bija
pita.
pradpitaha.
There is no pitaha. There is a pita. So let's chant together. Sarva
Sarvayonishu
Yonishu
kaunteya
Kaunteya
murtaya
Murtaya
sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahadyonihi
Yonihi
aham bija pradah pita.
Okay. So he said in the previous sloka that I placed all this collection of jivas into the matter, and from that all bodies are generated. Now we may get a question that, okay, now let us say he gave birth to, I mean, he was reason behind or cause for the birth of uh, my forefather. Okay, then we may get a doubt. Maybe my father, maybe because of my forefather, God may not be involved. Don't we get that doubt? Like, you know, I, let us say I created someone, and that someone created another one. Okay, then should the mm, am I the reason for creating my grandchild, say? So that question may come up, right? So we may say, no, he was not responsible. Like 10 generations ago, my forefather, how is he responsible for creating me? We may question. Only my father was responsible. We may question that. I mean, so some people may say, okay, God, okay, you might have created maybe Brahma, and Brahma created me. So my creator is Brahma alone. You are not my creator. We may get that. We may say that. So here, Lord Krishna very clearly saying, uh, right, without leaving anything for our interpretation, imagination, or argument. Okay, so probably he knows that we are that kind of people who will be questioning him and arguing him, saying, "Oh, you might have created Brahma, millions of years ago, 4 billion years ago, but I'm not responsible. Sorry, you're not responsible for my creation." Uh, so he's very clearly saying that's not the case. Okay, so Sarva Yonishu. So Kaunteya is saying, Kaunteya, all Arjuna, Sarva Yonishu Murtaya Sambhavantiyaha. Okay, so whatever bodies are taking birth in Sarva Yonishu, in all yonis, but in all yonis means in all different categories, in all different species. Okay, in all different bodies, whatever you may call it. Okay, so whatever is being born, whatever body is being born in all these different categories, tasam mahad brahma yonihi. So for that, mahad brahma yonihi. So for that also, the root cause or the reason is mahad brahma only. The womb for that, whatever baby is born today, even today in a mother, for that baby also, the womb is mahad brahma only. That is prakriti. Okay, so and aham bija pradapita. So I am the one who is a seed giver. I am the seed giver father, seed giving father. Okay. So for everything that is born, even today, for that, the womb is Mahat Brahma, and that Mahat Brahma belongs to me. I am the one who is placing the seed in that. The seed is the jiva, right? So a baby is being born today. The seed for that baby is being placed in the womb of this Prakriti, the womb of Prakriti, not a womb of don't take locally like the seed is getting into the womb. That womb itself is also Mahat Brahma only. It's part of Prakriti, right? So the seed is being placed by Paramatma only, by God only. Okay, it is so he's the true father. I mean, he's the seed giving father for this entire universe. One moment. Annie. Sorry, I had to pause. Um, so, any questions on this, Annie? So, God is the seed-giving Father. He is the Father who is placing the seed in the womb of Prakriti for everything that is born of all the four categories: Deva, Manusha, Tiryak, and Stavara. Okay. Any questions, Andy?
This I have one question, Andy.
Sure.
This Prakriti is womb of God, or Prakriti is body of God, Andy?
So, I mean, womb is a part of the body, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so it is not like different. Both are like one and same. So basically, uh, because we are talking about creation, right? Like
Yeah.
we are talking about the creation aspect. So
Oh.
he is saying that this is my womb. I mean, they are being born within me only, or
Okay.
my womb only, and I am the one who is who is giving the who is creating,
Okay.
right? I mean, that part of the, imagine like this part of you know this entire universe is his body, definitely, and jivas are also part of his body only. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So within that whole body, imagine there is a womb where the creation is happening. Okay.
Oh.
Where the seed is being placed into the matter. Okay. So that is the first part. The part where he talked about the previous sloka. So this entire the entire matter is his womb, belongs to him, and he is the one who is placing these jivatmas into that womb, and the creation is starting. Now after that, whatever uh, body is taking birth in whichever species, okay, it could be uh, a tiger, it could be an elephant, it could be a man, or it could be devas, whatever may be, is getting born to those bodies from those bodies, even for those, the womb is Prakriti, and I am the seed giving father, he's saying. So I am the creator even for those also. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, see, a mother does not know how to grow a baby in the womb,
Mm.
isn't it?
No. No.
And even uneducated or even animals, their
Mhm.
babies are growing exactly how they're supposed to be.
Mm.
Uh, it's not like they did a PhD and then they know how to grow the baby inside their wombs. So
Yeah,
this
with
Paramatma, so this and whatever material is needed for the baby to grow also, it's not like the mother is making something in a lab and then taking and all that, right?
yeah.
So it is coming from Prakriti automatically. Who is doing that?
God.
Yeah, Paramatma. And who is placing the seed in the womb of
Yeah,
those bodies?
he is the one, Paramatma.
Yeah, I mean, there is, while doing the research for Bhagavad Gita earlier, I actually wanted to see, how the baby, the embryo is formed. There are some nice videos in YouTube. It's unimaginably complex process that happens inside the body. Okay, and it's so complex we cannot even think about. I mean, such a small particle, okay, is finally going and merging with the egg, and then that is becoming an embryo, and then it is multiplying itself, and like just one small, you know, atom kind of becoming a big baby, and then finally growing into uh, a
Yeah.
human,
Unbelievable.
right? Yeah, it's none of that happens by our like it's not our knowledge that is making it happen, or not our efforts that is making it happen. So it is all Paramatma only. Whatever bodies are being born from any of the bodies that we see here in this universe that is already created, all those bodies are being formed uh, because of Paramatma only. He is the creator for all those. Okay, we may think that it is my child, and all that, but it's actually that we have done nothing compared to what Paramatma did. And whatever we did also is because of Paramatma's energy that was given to us. But after that, we didn't have any control. We just have to pray to God, they say, right? so, so the entire baby is being formed because of Paramatma's blessings only.
Thank you, Andy Varprasad.
Yeah, thank you. So he is the um, creator for everything that is being born. Okay, in all four categories. Tat chaturvarnyam maya srishtam, right? So that's another sloka that you can relate these two. Okay, so sloka 5. Let's chant. Sattvam rajastama iti
Sattvam rajastamayiti
guna prakriti sambhavaha
guna prakriti
prakriti
sambhavaha
nibadhanti mahabaho
nibadyanti mahabaho
dehe dehinamavyayam.
dehe dehinamavyayam.
Let's chant together. Sattvam
Sattvam
Rajastama iti
rajastama iti
गुणाः
guna
prakriti
prakriti sambhavaha
गुणासम्भवाः
nibaddhyanti
निबध्नन्ति
महाबाho
महाबाहो
te
dehinamavhyayam.
Okay. So he's the creator and he's the one who is owning the Prakriti, the Prakriti, that is nature, and that is Mahat Brahma, and he is the one who is owning all these Jivatmas also. Okay, so he's placing the Jivatmas inside the Prakriti, and then they're becoming bodies, and he is the father. Now, so he's the one who can say authority to really say about Prakriti and bodies and everything, right? So he's saying Sattvam Rajaha Tamaha iti Gunaha Prakriti Sambhavaha. So now we are getting into the real story. Of course, everything is real. I mean, making it like a story. So Sattvam, Rajas, and Tamas. These are the three qualities that are Prakriti Sambhavaha, born from Prakriti. What do? Nibadnanti. So they are going to bind. What are they going to bind? The Dehinam. They are going to bind the Atma, which is Avyayam, the immutable Atma, imperishable Atma, Dehe, in the body. Okay. So Dehinam is the one who is residing in the body, that is Atma. Avyayam is the one who is imperishable. Who, I mean, the reason why Lord Krishna mentioned here the word Avyayam is the one that does not have these qualities. So he mentioned that Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are Prakriti Sambhava only. That is, they are born of Prakriti only. We do not inherently have this these qualities. They are in Prakriti only. And they are the reason, they are responsible for binding us, okay, in this body. In this body means basically binding us in this cycle of births and deaths. We're always bound to get a body, in other words. Okay, so the gunas are the reasons why we are getting births again. So it's another way of understanding that. And so we have to learn about the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas and how they are binding us. Typically, we think, oh, Sattva is great, right? I mean, Sattva probably should not be binding us to the body, but Sattva, even Sattva also binds us to the body. Any questions on this? Okay. So the important point here is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are born from Prakriti, Prakriti Sambhavaha. Okay, so that we need to remember. Sloka 6. Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat.
Sattva
Tatra
Tatra
Sattvam
Sattvam
Nirmalatvat.
Nirmalatvat
Prakasaka Manamayam.
Prakasakamanayam
Sukha Sangena Badhnati.
Sukasangena Badhnati
Jnana Sangena Chanagha.
Gnana Sangena Chanagha.
Let's chant together. Tatra
Tatra
Sattvam
Sattvam
Nirmalatvat.
Nirmalatvat
Prakasaka
Prakasakamanayam
Sukha
Sukha
sangena
sangena
badnati
badnati
jnana
Jnana
sangena
sangena
chanagha.
chanagha.
So, Lord Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Anagha. Okay, Anagha is sinless one. So this is Sambodhana Pradama Vibhakti. So that is he's addressing Arjuna as Anagha, O Arjuna. Tatra. So Tatra is there. I mean that is a true translation. But so he was talking about in the previous sloka. He said there are three qualities, right? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. There means in those three qualities, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Nirmalatvat, because it is pure, being pure. Okay. Prakasakam, anamayam. Prakasakam is illuminating. We'll see what is that. I mean, illuminating means it doesn't mean it has a light and then it is it is shining. Okay. So prakasakam means it is able to show the true nature of the objects. Okay. See, we are when a room is dark. Uh, so let us say a room is dark and then someone is they're just moving in the room and then they feel something like a rope. Okay. They hold something and then it looks like a rope, and then say someone may say it is a rope, someone may say it is a snake, right? Both look same, isn't it? So um, that we don't know the true nature of the objects, but when object that is like that feels like a rope, okay, we don't know what it is. It may be a rope, it may be a some snake or something else. But when we turn on the light, what happens? We are able to see it clearly. And if it is a snake, we will say, oh my God, it's a snake. And then we'll immediately leave it, right? Otherwise, if you think that it's a rope and then we start playing with it. And if the snake doesn't bite, we won't even know that it was a snake. If the room is dark or place is dark and then we hold a snake and think that a rope, and we start playing with it without even realizing. So we do not know the true nature if there is no illumination, if there is no light. True nature means if we are not able to see, we may think something different. But when there is light, we are able to see the true nature of that object, right? Same way, this sattvam, okay? Sattvam, prakasakam, it is the one which is illuminating. It reveals the true nature of the objects. Okay, when some situation is presented to us, we are able to understand it clearly. And so, even let's say we are reading Bhagavad Gita sloka, we'll be able to understand the true meaning of it. Whether it is materialistic or spiritual, whatever it is, it reveals the true knowledge, true nature of that to us. That's why in that sense it is illuminating. Okay, and anamayam. Amayam is having sickness, and na amayam is healthy. Okay, not having the sickness or not causing pain. So basically, this sattvam makes us healthy. Okay. So nirmalatvat is because it is being free from the qualities. Nirmala means typically it is associated with purity, right? Mala is impurity. Not having impurity is pure. So sattvam is pure. What is that purity? The purity is the one that will not stop us from the prakasakam or anamayam, right? So basically, it is the quality, because sattvam is because so he's explaining what is sattvam, right? So sattvam is the quality that does not hinder illumination and happiness. Okay, that means it is the one that reveals. I mean, again, he immediately said prakasakam and anamayam immediately. Both are these two are related. One is saying that because it is pure, does not have any hindrance, quality of hindrance or obstruction to the knowledge. Okay, so it is prakasakam and anamayam. And what does it do? It badhnati, it binds. Okay, binds us. Sukha sangena, gnana sangena. So there are two words here. Ena, wherever it comes, it is, you can say it is by. Okay, so the third vibhakti. So by sukha sangha and by gnana sangha. Sangha, sorry, not gha. Sukha sangha is attachment to happiness, and gnana sangha is attachment to knowledge. Okay, so there are few things that are revealed here. One is sattvam is a quality that does not hinder illumination and happiness. Okay, it is it reveals the true nature of the objects, and it leads us to be healthy. Removes pain and sickness. Okay, and it binds us by attachment to the happiness and by attachment to the knowledge. Okay. Any questions on this? Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Arjuna is not attached to sattvic quality, right? That's why he is able to.
Arjuna is not attached.
Yeah, because if he is attached to sattvic quality, he is not able to get that happiness and bliss.
First of all, Arjuna is, at that moment,
Mhm.
he's actually showing tamasic quality. We'll
Okay.
see why.
Uh-huh.
So it was actually tamasic at that moment.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So he's, he was trying to run away from the, from the battlefield. So he was
Mhm.
not trying, he was not doing his duty. Okay.
Mhm.
So, but he was kind of thinking that, okay, I can do the meditation. So meditation is kind of associated with the sattvic quality, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's what we think. Okay.
Mhm.
But he's actually running away from the duty, which is a tamasic quality. So Arjuna was tamasic at that moment. Now, the sattvic people, they are, they are bound to do the activities that are sattvic in nature.
Mhm.
They get attached to them. Okay.
Okay.
So because of that attachment to that happiness, sukha sangena, right? What is the difference between sukham and or happiness and pleasure?
Mhm.
Let us actually look at the second sloka, and then
Yeah. Oh,
next sloka also we'll see.
yeah. I
It'll
didn't.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, it may be clear. Um, Sloka 7. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi
Rajo
Ragatmakam
Ragatmakam Vidhi
vidhi
Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam
Trishna
Krishna
Sanga
Sangha
Samudbhavam
Samudbhavam
Tannibadhnati Kaunteya
Tannibadhati
Tannibadhnati
Kaunteya
Kaunteya
Karma Sangena Dehinam.
Karma
Karma
Sangena
Sangena
Dehinam
Dehinam
Let's chant it. Rajo
Rajo
Rajoragatmakam
Ragatmakam
Ragatmakam
Kam
Vidhi
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 Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Sanga
Samudbhavam
Samudbhavam
Tannibadhnati
Tannibadhati
Kaunteya
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 Karma
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 Sangena
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 Dehinam.
Sangenadehinam.
Dehinam.
Dehinam.
So he's again addressing as Kaunteya or Arjuna. So now he's talking about Rajas. So what is Rajas? Rajaha Ragatmakam Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. There are two words he's using. Okay, Vidhi. So know that Rajas quality is Ragatmakam. Okay, Raga is that desire or attachment, and the context here is that Rajas quality is causing the passion, lust, the desire between male and female. So that is Ragatmakam. That is the Rajasic quality is the reason for this attraction between male and female. Okay. And then second is Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. So there are two words in this. So Trishna and Sanga. Okay. So Rajas quality causes Trishna. Trishna is desire for sensory pleasures, enjoyments. Okay. Such as music. So music is for our ears, right? So for ears is, as an example, he used music, he said, but you all, basically all sensory pleasures, enjoyments. Okay. Rajasic quality is the one that causes the desire for the sensory enjoyments. Like I want to hear beautiful, nice music. I want to see beautiful things. I want to eat, tasty food. I want to do. So all these are Rajasic in nature. I'm attached to my sensory pleasures. Okay, or I'm having desire for experiencing sensory pleasures. That is Trishna. And Sangha is desire to be with, at, with children, friends, family, all. I want to be with my children. I want to be with my friends. So that is the attachment or the desire to be with, associated with all of them. So again, Rajasic, that is a Rajasic quality. Okay. So having these two qualities, basically what happens is the Rajasic quality, Nibadhnati, it binds the karma sangena by attachment to the work. Okay. It binds by the attachment to the work, the dehinam, the embodied self. Okay. So when we are in this body, okay, the Rajasic qualities, which are attraction towards the the other opposite sex, and then attachment to experience or desire to experience sensory pleasures, desire to have, to be with friends, children, family, and everything, desire to be associated with society, desire to be, having possessions, all these desires, right? So those are, because of those Rajasic qualities, the Rajas is going to bind us. Like basically what happens when we have those qualities? We'll be like, ignited to do the work, right? We'll be, I want to do, I mean, whatever maybe, so it will force us to do actions, isn't it? Like if I have sensory pleasures, it will force me to, let's say, I want to eat tasty food, then it will force me to cook, spend 2 hours in cooking nice food. If I want to see a movie, it will force me to go to movie theater. So it is basically making us, instigating us to act, and it causes the attachment to the work. I want to enjoy, right? I want to be with my friends. I want to be with my family. I want to have all these possessions. So that is the attachment it creates. So here, I mean, the difference is this is sensory pleasure. This is happiness. Sorry, not happiness. I mean, sensory pleasure is senses, our external senses. Happiness is associated with our mind. Okay. So when I study Bhagavad Gita, I feel happy. I didn't. None of my external senses got anything out of it, but I get that happiness inside, right? That is a happiness. The external happiness, sensory pleasures also give me happiness, but there is another type of happiness which is totally internal, right? So that is the happiness that we were talking in the sattva quality. Like I am uh, getting that happiness and I'm attached to that happiness. Okay, I want to be, if I am learning something, let us say, for example, I'm attached to that learning because that is giving me happiness. Now that is binding. Okay, that is not giving me any sensory pleasure, but I am still attached to that happiness. Okay, I'm attached to that knowledge. You know, so whatever I'm gaining, that knowledge, again, that has nothing to do with the external, materialistic pleasures or sensory pleasures, enjoyments. But sattva quality is the one that is internal in nature, like it is giving me happiness, giving me knowledge. So that is what I am being attached to, compared to this rajasic quality where I'm attached to external things. Typically, all the external sensory pleasures. Okay, and possessions, having possessions.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and then the last one. Hope we'll finish this one, because we covered sattva, rajas, and sattva and rajas, so we'll cover tamas also. What is tamas? Tamas tvajnanajam vidhi
तमस्वज्ञानजं विद्धि
mohanam sarvadehinam
मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां
pramaadalasya nidrabhihi
प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः
tannibadhati bharata.
तन्निबध्नाति भारत.
Let's chant together.
तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि
mohanam
मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत.
So what is tamas? Tamas to ajnanajam. So is the word use the word to, right? Typically it means but. So basically he is comparing sattva, rajas, and now he's saying tamas. So a comparative thing. So he's using the word tu as for tamas. So what is tamas? Is know that, vidhi, know that ajnanajam, it is born from the ignorance. Ajnanajam, it is born out of ignorance or from ignorance. Mohanam causes delusion. Sarvadehinam, to all the embodied beings. Okay, so the two things, ignorance and delusion. Okay, and then what does it do? Tat, so that tamasic quality, nibadhnati, binds, pramadalasya nidrabhihi. There are, bhihi is also third. So for a plural, this there are three words here: pramada, alasya, nidra. So all three are mentioned. So it's a plural. So for plural, the third vibhakti ends with a bhihi. For a singular, it ends with a ena. So I mean, just giving a thumb rule, right? Because it comes a lot of places. It's not the real true grammar rule, but you can identify like that. That's how we can learn. So so what is pramada? So by pramada, by alasya, and by nidra is saying. So the tamas causes the pramada, which is basically lack of attention. We lose focus. We um, we pay attention to something that we are not supposed to, and we do not pay attention to the one that we are supposed to. So we are basically losing attention and focus on the things that we really need to do. Okay, what is appropriate for us, or we should be doing. We, instead of doing that, we will be doing something else. We were putting attention on something else. That is pramada. Not pramada does not mean accident. In Telugu, pramada means accident, but in Sanskrit, pramada means you are losing focus. Maybe by losing focus, we get into accident. Maybe that's how it came. So, and then alasya. Alasya is laziness. Okay, we are don't want to do anything basically. I mean, I don't want to do it right now. And so that kind of feeling is laziness. We don't want to engage in any action. And nidra is sleepiness. So basically, all our senses, including mind, are unable, or their inability to engage in action. That means when all our senses are sleeping, then we are. I mean, sleeping in the sense when all our senses are withdrawn completely, they are not doing any action. Then we are sleeping, right? So sleeping is, so that is the sleepy state. So it causes. So it is born out of ignorance. It causes delusion, and it binds us by making us um, not having attention, and making us lazy, and by making us sleepy. Very, very dangerous. So here, basically, this is the complete opposite of the sattva. So tamas is the one that ignore. So it causes delusion, right? Delusion is something that is seeing something and understanding it as something exactly opposite. Okay, so when Arjuna was faced with a situation where he is supposed to fight, he thought of doing exactly the opposite, running away from the battlefield. Okay, or when we, you know, uh, when we face any situation, we see the exact opposite thing. Instead of becoming happy, we become sad. Instead of becoming sad, we become happy. That is ignorance. and that is delusion. No, that delusion is born due to your ignorance, because we don't know. We don't know the reality. That ignorance is basically stopping us from getting the true reality. It does not reveal the true nature of the situation or the object. So basically, with that, what happens is we get a complete opposite understanding of what the truth is. Okay. Um, so when someone is trying to do a good thing for us, we think that that person is trying to cheat us or taking advantage of us. Or when someone is really taking advantage of us, we think that person is really great for us. Okay. So unfortunately, a lot of ignorant people, you know, they think exactly the opposite. And unfortunately, the social media is again causing, you know, is basically is amplifying that ignorance. Um, if there are two ignorant people and they believe in something that is totally opposite, and then they spread that opposite ignorance as truth, and there are more ignorant people who get succumb to that, and then ignorance is growing. Unfortunately, that's the problem today's world. Anyway, so that is tamas. So these three are binding us. One is binding us because of by happiness and knowledge. The other one is binding us by attachment to work. And the third is binding us by pramada, alasya, nidra, by lack of attention, uh, laziness, and sleep.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on this locus?
No,
Rupaji.
they're very clear.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Sorry, no problem. Yeah, just wanted to ask everyone if there is any question. No?
What is the second one? And these three qualities are binding us by happiness and by lack of attention, laziness, and sleep, and attachment by
attachment to work.
attachment of. Okay, that is
To
tamas.
attachment to work, that is karma sangena. So, so karma sangena is a rajasic quality. So rajasic quality is binding us by attachment to work. So it binds us to this deha. Basically, all these three lead us to do things in a way that will increase our karmic bondage, not decrease our karmic bondage. Anything that we want for ourselves is increasing karmic bondage. I want to gain knowledge for myself, increases karmic bondage. I want to be happy, increases karmic bondage. I want to, I'm becoming lazy. I don't want to do my duties, is increasing karmic bondage. I'm sleepy when I'm supposed to work, do my duties, is increasing karmic bondage. I'm attached to work, is basically I'm running after my desires, my possessions, whether to get more stuff or to protect what I have. I'm doing all the activities for my own benefit. When I say my, actually we are thinking I am body, right? So obviously, saying, "Oh, I want to get lot of money." Yeah. So that increase, and then to get lot of money, I have to work. So I'm attached to that work. I have to do the work. So I think I have to do it, and I'll attach myself to that work, and think that work is because of me, and the results are for me, and I need to enjoy the results. So all these are increasing karmic bondage. They are binding us to this deha. So the primary root cause is all these three qualities only. So once we know these three qualities, we will be careful. we will learn more. I mean, how we should not be. I mean, how we will not be attached to qualities. These three qualities. Lord Krishna explained us. Actually, if I had time, like I wanted to ask this question, and general question, that when we pray to God, do we ask if I want something? So, or if I should not be asking for that, then should I even? I mean, like then why should I pray? What should I ask him? What should I say to him?
I try to thank God, not try to, I really thank God. And then before coming to this awareness, right, I would ask, okay, keep everybody happy. I mean, today I have exam, please make it, make that, successful. My son is doing this today, please make that, things like that. I would just say that, right? But now I've changed, and then I'm very, very grateful and then thankful, and then I say that to God, right? And then I'd say, you know what is best for everybody, and Sarve Jana Sukhina Bhavantu, and that's all, right? But sometimes, I do ask still little bit, but it's scaled down a lot.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, specifically, let us say either we are writing the exam or son is writing the exam, and I want to be successful, or son wants to be successful, has to be successful. So how do we ask that to God, or should we not even ask? That's the question. I mean, so what is the right way of asking? Knowing all these things that we know from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I don't know. This is correct way to ask, or I don't know. I started taking this class.
Uh-huh.
I am usually nowadays asking God, like taking out my karmic bondages that I did previous janmas and what I did in this janma, like that. I don't know. That is correct way.
Whatever we do, it's belonging to him. So he should take care of it. That's how we should ask him.
Okay.
Because we say sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu, right? And even we get happiness, or even we want something, or if we get pleasure or sadness, we should say sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. That means he will take care of everything.
Yeah, Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu is whatever I got, I will give it to him. I mean, we are offering to him, not I am giving
the
to
pleasures or pains, everything.
Pleasures, yeah.
I don't know. Nowadays, I don't feel like asking anything. I just want to be, in his consciousness. That's all I can think about it, and establish that connection that continuously His grace is falling on us.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the answers are wide ranging, right? Yeah, I mean, so basically, we, whatever activities that we do, we are doing for him, right? So if I decide to do any activity today, I need to, I can, we are dependent on him, right? So we are not independent. So when we are dependent on, like in our office, we are dependent on our manager, our bosses and department heads. Whatever we do, we inform them. We do it on their behalf. We do it with their approval, isn't it? Okay. So that is the first thing that we need to, do. I gave that as an example. So when we know that we are dependent on him, we are not independent. Okay. Whatever I am thinking as my wish to do, obviously it is our intention to do something, right? I'm working today, or I'm taking an exam, whatever may be our task that we are doing. We need to, we need to get, we need to inform him. Of course, it's not that he doesn't know. From our perspective, we need to inform him. Sorry if there is a lot of background noises outside talking. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
So one is to inform him, making him aware that I am doing this. I am not independent. I am dependent on you. So that's the first thing. And then we have to, basically tell ourselves that we are, um, you know, we are doing it as service to him. It is his task that I'm doing. Okay. So basically the reason why I'm saying this is, if we know that I'm doing something for myself, for my own enjoyment, I will not be able to say to him, right? How can I say that? If I am doing something for my own enjoyment, I will not be able to lie to him saying that I'm doing it for your enjoyment, right? So by informing him that I am doing this action for as your service, for you, this task belongs to you, not me, right? I will basically immediately be able to correct myself if I'm doing something for myself only. Okay, because we are all having carrying karmic bondages. Once, many times, not once in a while, many times we'll forget him and then start doing things for ourselves. When we are doing something for him, it is appropriate for us to tell him. If we are doing something for ourselves, then we don't ask him. So whatever we are doing, if we think that we are doing it for him, then it becomes kind of mandatory, necessary for us to inform him, take his permission before doing it. Okay, whether I'm taking a test. So then I say, God, I'm taking this test. I'm dependent on you. I'm doing this as service to you. Give me the energy to write this test. I'm not asking, I need to get this A grade so that I can enjoy, or I get into a great college and, because I'm going to be happy myself. No, I'm informing him, taking his, and then second is taking his permission. Please, uh, please help me do this. Please allow me to do this. Please give me energy to do this. Right? Then once we say that, then we are basically showing our surrendering attitude, right? We are surrendering to him. Okay, so we don't feel that we are independent, and then I will ask him only for things that I cannot take care of myself. I will, or I will not even ask anything. That means I am totally independent. No, we can see, it is not like asking for a particular success because I'm going to be happy. It is asking, it is informing him our intention to do a task, taking a permission from him, and seeking his, his support to do this activity, use me as an instrument in doing this activity. That's all. I mean, after that we can leave it. When the result comes, after the task is over, we again thank him, and then when the result comes, we offer it to him. Because of your, the energy that you gave me, then I got this one. So, I mean, this is based on whatever we learn. Basically, what I'm suggesting is that we can inform him every activity that we are doing. Okay, not as a desire for I want to get this, I want to do that. Not as a desire, but our intention to do that activity and taking his permission and support. So, I mean, this is what we learned from Sri Swamiji, like what we have observed from Sri Swamiji, like whatever is our task that we are doing, Sri Swamiji offers it to Paramatma. I mean, as a, like, offers it to Paramatma in the sense, like, takes his permission to do it. So typically we think, what is there to take his permission? It's just standing there, or is within me, why do I need to ask? But literally, like, presenting to him, saying that, oh God, I want to do this activity, give me permission to do it. That itself is a lot. Because we feel that I'm dependent on you. You are the supreme. You are giving me energy. Make me as an instrument to do it. So then I think that is how we need to ask, not as a desire, like, oh God, I will give me this result and I will donate so much, or I will give you something and do some puja after that, or something like that. That is not appropriate. I hope that was in the right direction. Means any questions on that, or you think it's something that we can do?
Thank you, sir. That was helpful.
Yes, and
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to share something that I think in one of the classes that someone asked that should I ask God? Then yeah, we can ask God, and He's our Father, right? He's our Father, so we can ask anything to the Father. But this is the more clarity on it, right? Like we are basically informing each and everything that we do. He's like companion for us almost. Okay, we are at a lower level, he's at a higher level. Companion, I mean, like, not as a friend. We are serving him. He's the supreme, but he's always with us. He's a companion. So he's the one who has to be told everything explicitly. Every time reminding ourselves that we are working for him, at his service, and make whatever task that I'm doing, make it successful. That's all. I mean, give me energy to do it. Make it successful in the sense, not like give me the particular result, but give me the energy to perform that activity. Okay, Andy. No further questions. We'll conclude. Okay. Thank you. Conclude with the concluding prayer. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmana va prakate swabhavat karomi yajjat sagalam
karomi yajjat
parasmai
sakalam parasmai
narayanayet
Narayanayeti
samarpayami
samarpayami
Srimanarayanayet
Srimanarayanayeti
samarpayami
samarpayami
Sarvam Sri
Sarvam Sri
Krishnarpanamastu.
Krishnarpanamastu
Om
Om
Asmatgurubhyo
Asmadgurubhyo
Namaha.
Namaha
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Srimanarayana. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
Jai
this.
Srimanarayana, everyone. Thank you.
Jai Shri Narayana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai
Yeah.
Shri Narayana.